Hey guys, Zack here. Happy 420 everybody. I hope you guys are out there smoking your weed and just loving life. Me myself, I actually don't smoke weed, but I respect the art of smoking weed. So if you're out there smoking a blunt or getting high with your buds, and honestly, that's great. I'm so happy. Enjoy this beautiful 420 day. If you're not smoking weed or if you don't smoke weed, I don't know, you're still cool, I guess. But yeah, all jokes aside, welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla Store exclusive Super Mechagodzilla. Now, this version of Mechagodzilla comes from the 1993 film Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, or as what most people call it, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. The name of this movie always bugged me, because people refer to this movie as Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, which doesn't make sense because none of the Showa Godzilla movies are canon to the Heisei era. The only Showa Godzilla movie that's canon is the original 1954 film, but yeah, movies like Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original one, is not canon. So calling this movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But at the same time, it's still really frustrating that they just call this movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla because we already have a movie in the franchise called Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. I don't get it. But, it is what it is. I'm here to talk about figures, not the titles of movies. But, yeah. Regardless, though, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, or whatever you want to call it, I think is a very enjoyable movie. It's definitely one of my favorite Heisei Godzilla movies. Not my favorite Godzilla movie, period, but as far as the Heisei Godzilla movies go, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, I think is still very enjoyable. So, yeah. I love the soundtrack to this movie, too. I think, honestly, it's some of Akira Fukabe's best tracks. The main theme for Mechagodzilla, I think, is very good. So, yeah. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, this figure is a Godzilla Store exclusive. There's another version of this figure without Garuda, because as you can see here, this figure comes with Garuda attached to its back. The standard version doesn't, and that one is more widely available. So if you don't like Garuda, or you just want a plain-looking Mechagodzilla 2, then honestly, I'd say go for the standard one, but is this one worth it? Well, let's find out in this review. Before we take a look at the figure itself, I just want to quickly take a look at the tag here. So for the front of the tag here, we have a nice picture of Super Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Whatever you want to call it, I don't know anymore. But anyway, at the bottom here we have, well, like I just said, Super Mechagodzilla. We have the little Godzilla 2023 emblem right here. On the back here, we have a nice silhouette of Garuda here, as well as Mechagodzilla 2's arm. So there you go. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. They could have called this movie anything else. Like, literally anything else they could have called this movie. They could have called this movie, like, Godzilla vs. Super Mechagodzilla. That would have been perfect. That would have been perfect, but no, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Fine. Whatever. Fine. I don't care. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. Anyway, right here we have a Movie Monster Series, as well as the Bandai logo in the corner there. For the inside, we have a bunch of Japanese writing that I can't read, as well as a nice silhouette of Super Mechagodzilla here. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the tag here. Now, going back to the figure itself, let's quickly talk about the paint. And depending on this figure, I'm going to try to keep it brief because there are only two colors that are actually on this figure. As you can see here, the eyes are painted yellow, and the rest of the figure is painted this metallic silver, which I do think looks nice. The actual design for Mechagodzilla in that movie, there's definitely a lot more bits of black, particularly in the elbow here, the side of his body here, the back of his legs here, and even his belly button cannon. That should all be painted black, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me that it's unpainted. It's not like with the Movie Monster Series Kiryu figure where most of that design is black, but they just didn't paint it. There's a lot more of that metallic silver on this guy than there is black. So honestly, of all of the Mechagodzilla designs that are out there, I think this one can get away with just being one color as far as figures go. So yeah, the lack of paint, it would have been nice if there was more black on this figure, but regardless, what we have still doesn't look terrible. So, yeah, depending on this figure, there could have been more black, but for the most part, it still looks good. So I'd say the painting on this figure gets 3/4 of a pass. Not the best, but still, for what it is, it's good. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, now that we're done with the paint, let's take a quick look at the articulation. And, this is a Bandai vinyl, so, there's not going to be a whole lot here, but still, there's some articulation. So let's, take a quick look at that. The head here can move 360. Also, really weird, the base of the cannons on Garuda here, they can rotate, which, it's utterly pointless, but, it's still kind of cool that it's there, at least. So, yeah. The arms can move forwards about that much, and backwards that much. Unfortunately, Garuda does get in the way, so if you did get the standard version of this guy, I'm sure you could, move the arms, more than, you can move the arms 360 degrees. No leg articulation, which, a little bit of a bummer, but not the end of the world, I guess. And also, the tail can rotate a little bit. So, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. And like I said, it's a Bandai vinyl. There's not a whole lot going on here as far as articulation. So, the lack of articulation, I think is fine. Leg articulation would have been nice, but I digress. Anyway, yeah. The articulation on this figure, I'd say gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the sculpt. And the sculpting on this figure, I think looks very good. I think, it's not one-to-one to what we see in the movie. This figure, this is a Bandai vinyl, so, Bandai vinyls, they're usually close to what we see in the films, but, they always have to take slight sacrifices, because vinyl is kind of, not really tricky, but, you can't really make thin parts with vinyl. But, besides that, though, I think, the outcome of this figure sculpting, I think, looks, very solid still, so, yeah, overall, I think the sculpting on this figure looks very nice. If I had one complaint, I probably should have talked about this during the paint, but for some reason, the tail on mine, as you can see, is, scuffed up, right there. And on the other side, too, there's a slight scuff mark, right there where my thumb is, and right here. So, yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. But besides that, though, the sculpting on this figure still, I think, looks very nice. So the sculpting on this figure, it's great. I'd say the sculpting here definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is very nice. So let's take a closer look at that. So starting off at the head here, we can see all of the panels and all of the mechanical detailing here, like on the side of the face here, is detailed very nicely. Everything here is very nicely defined here. And even the teeth on this figure, again, are detailed very nicely. So there you go. The cannons here on Garuda, I think, look very nice as well. Again, just a lot of really nice paneling here, and just very, very streamlined. And it looks very nice here. And even Garuda itself is, the rest of Garuda, I should say, is detailed very nicely as well. The cockpit here has a lot of very nice detailing, and all of the panels, on the wings here and all that. Just a lot of great detailing here. It really pops, but I digress. The torso here, again, just a lot of great detailing here. All of the panels on his chest here and his little belly button cannon here just, looks very nice as far as the detailing goes. Very, very well defined. And even his legs here, again, all of the panels and all of the mechanical detailing just looks phenomenal here. Really like how that looks. And the tail itself, I mean, despite the scuff marks on mine, I think, still, the detailing here looks very solid. All of the panels and everything like that looks great. And yeah, the underside of Garuda, it looks okay, but the little dorsal plates here, they look good. And even the underside of the figure has some nice detailing underneath the feet here, which they didn't need to do, but they did. And the detailing here, I think, looks pretty solid. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. The detailing here is very good. Bandai vinyls, The only thing they need to improve on as far as the Bandai vinyls goes would be like the actual paint. I mean, the painting on this guy isn't horrible, but still, like future Bandai vinyls, like it'd be nice if there's more care put into the paint, especially for Godzilla store exclusives. But still, the sculpting and detailing on these figures are usually pretty good. So yeah, and this figure's no exception. So yeah, the detailing on this figure definitely solid. So I'd say the detailing here definitely gets a pass. One thing I forgot to point out is how the eyes actually have detailing, which the eyes here look very nice, the detailing here looks great. They didn't need to detail the eyes, but they did. They gave it that, like, metallic sort of look, which I think, looks really nice, For a very small part of the figure, the detail on the eyes looks pretty good. So, yeah, again, the detail on this figure definitely gets a pass. Like usual, we'll do some size comparisons. Here we have the Bandai Creation Mechagodzilla 2. This is the one I had when I was a kid. This is my childhood Mechagodzilla 2 right here. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla Tokyo SOS Kiryu, which I got recently, but I didn't want to review it because, I don't know, this is an older figure and I just kind of felt like it was unnecessary. If you guys want me to review it, then please let me know in the comments below. But as it is, I have no intent on reviewing that figure. But that's besides the point. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla Store exclusive Damaged Mechagodzilla. And of course, here we have some hand sanitizer. And of course, here we have Dr. Billy Grant. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? I'd say yes. I think this is a very nice little figure of Super Mechagodzilla. There could have been more as far as the paint went, but, besides that, I still think that this is a very solid figure. My biggest issue here, actually, would be the size. As you just saw, this figure is quite small compared to the other Mechagodzilla figures that I own, which is a little unfortunate, Not an absolute deal breaker, though. I still think that this is a nice figure, but the size might be a turnoff for some people. So if you want a more, if you want a Super Mechagodzilla figure that's more in scale with the other Mechagodzilla figures that I've shown off, admittedly, I don't know what else to tell you. I only know about this guy and the standard release of this guy, so yeah. I can't help you there, but if you do want a Super Mechagodzilla and you don't really care about the size, I think this is a pretty good fit for that role. So, yeah. As far as price tags go, I paid about $45 for this guy. And seeing as how he is a Godzilla Store exclusive, I think that it was pretty reasonable. I don't know if there are any other sites that sell Godzilla Store exclusive figures, but I did get this guy from Awesome Collector. So, if you are curious as far as, Godzilla figures go, or figures that are exclusive to the Godzilla store, then check out Awesome Collector. As far as this guy specifically, I'm not sure if he sold out or not, because I bought this guy a while ago. But regardless, if you do want this guy, then definitely check out Awesome Collector. And yeah, like I said, I don't know if there are any other online retailers that sell, Godzilla store exclusive figures, but, check out Awesome Collector, because I know they do. So, yeah. Also, there's the standard version of this guy, who doesn't come with Garuda, and he's also cheaper and more widely available. So, if you do want a Mechagodzilla 2 figure without Garuda, then you can go to HobbyLink Japan and just, yeah, because there is, the standard release of this guy, which might be more up your alley. So, yeah. I went with this guy because I think, I really think Garuda really completes the look for Mechagodzilla 2. I think, I don't know, just Mechagodzilla 2 on his own just looks a little too naked for my liking, but I digress. This is still a good figure, and I definitely recommend that you pick him up, despite his small size and lack of paint. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week. Once again, happy 420. I hope you all are blazing it up, and, yeah. See you in the next video. Peace. Zack out.